The wreckage of Thalon 9 stretched to the horizon like a graveyard of broken dreams. Metal carcasses of plasma tanks smoldered beneath a bruised sky, while shattered energy shields fizzled with dying embers. Even the air tasted scorched, crackling with static from overloaded comms channels. Amid the destruction, a flicker of movement caught Brant's eye, a glint of metal, a scrap of cloth. He half stumbled over a half-buried battle drone, its AI core still muttering apologies to a long-dead pilot. "Hey, pal, I'll file your complaint with the management," Brant muttered, stepping over it. He was halfway across the field when he saw her. She lay sprawled beside a twisted cannon, limbs limp, her skin pale beneath the alien blood that streaked her face. Her long ears, a feature he'd only heard about in briefing memos, draped like delicate filaments down to her shoulders, quivering in the wind. A pointy-eared war refugee, he thought. Brant squatted beside her, frowning. Even in the smoldering ruins, she was captivating, her features sharp yet strangely fragile. He noticed her uniform, a sleek, iridescent armor with circuitry tracing faint bioluminescent lines. Alien tech. Definitely not standard issue. "You know," he said softly, his voice a shaky blend of relief and awe, "I always wanted to meet an elf. Didn't expect one on a scorched battlefield, though." He chuckled, a dry, broken sound in the chaos. His exosuit servos hissed as he leaned closer, scanning her vitals with the wrist-mounted med interface. The results flickered in red and orange. Paralyzed. Neural damage. He swore under his breath. She was alive but trapped in her own body. A sudden blast rocked the ground, sending sparks dancing across the debris. Overhead, a fighter jet roared past, chasing the horizon with plasma fire. Brant ducked, shielding her with his body. "Stay with me, pointy ears," he whispered. "This isn't how your story ends." She blinked, her eyes cloudy but aware. Her lips trembled. He leaned in, catching the faintest murmur. "They left me." Her voice was a broken harmony of pain and betrayal, an alien melody that seemed to echo from somewhere deeper than the ruins. Brant's heart clenched. He glanced around. No sign of her people. No evac pods. No rescue ships. Just smoke and wreckage. "Well, I guess it's just you and me, princess," he quipped, trying to keep the edge of panic from his tone. "And before you ask, I didn't sign up for babysitting stranded alien royalty. But hey, when the galaxy calls, you answer." He activated the exosuit's hydraulic arms, carefully lifting her into his embrace. She was surprisingly light, like a star caught in a net. Her ears brushed his neck, tickling in a way that would have made him laugh in any other setting. "Hold on," he said. "We're getting you out of here. And if anyone asks, I saved the princess, so I'd better get a medal." She gave a faint, pained laugh that danced like static in the air. Brant smiled despite the chaos. It felt good, this unexpected partnership forged in fire and ruin. He turned toward the nearest medical station, determined to keep his promise. Plasma bolts hissed overhead, painting streaks of blue light across the sky. He carried her through the ruins, her long ears swaying like a banner of defiance against the night. He might have been just another soldier on a dying world, but right now, right here, he was the only one who hadn't left her behind. Brant stumbled through the shredded remains of the field hospital, the makeshift canvas walls flapping like the wings of a dying bird. The place was a patchwork of burnt synth fabric and flickering neon signs that once spelled first aid, but now read something more like Phi Ad. A medbot zipped past on one wheel, carrying a tray of half-melted syringes and muttering something about optimal patient protocols. He ducked as it nearly clipped his head. "Sorry, DocBot," he called after it. "My insurance doesn't cover decapitation." He adjusted his grip on Ayla. He'd learned her name from a dog-eared field report that he'd barely skimmed between plasma bursts. Her long ears brushed his arm, their faint bioluminescence pulsing like a living code. She shivered in his arms, her breath shallow, eyes half closed but trying to stay awake. "Don't worry, princess," he teased gently. "I've carried heavier gear than you. Like that time on Soren 5 when I had to drag a malfunctioning power cell. Thing weighed more than a small moon." She blinked, her lips parting in a pained smile. "You talk too much," she whispered, her voice a fragile thread weaving through the roar of distant battle. He felt a pang of relief that she could still joke back. Humor was a lifeline in the middle of chaos. Brant ducked under a low-hanging conduit, narrowly avoiding a shower of sparks. The triage bay was barely functional. A cluster of medics hunched over consoles that sparked and buzzed like angry hornets. A battered medroid, half its head missing, argued with a senior surgeon about the correct dosage of bioplasma. "I said zero point 0.2 milliliters, not 2 liters," the surgeon shouted, waving a dripping syringe. The medroid responded with a series of polite but unintelligible beeps. "Professional place you've got here," Brent quipped as he laid Ayla down on the nearest cot, the metal frame creaking in protest. "Real 5-star treatment." He turned to a harried nurse whose uniform was singed at the edges. "Hey, get me a neural stabilizer. She's got partial paralysis, probably from a plasma burst. And don't skimp on the painkillers. She's had a rough day." The nurse nodded grimly, vanishing into the haze of plasma smoke. Ayla's fingers twitched weakly as she stared at the ceiling. Her ears fluttered, catching every spark of light like antennae searching for a signal. "They left me," she whispered again, tears catching in the corners of her eyes. "My people, they abandoned me." Brant's chest tightened. "Yeah, well," he said, forcing a grin. "Humans are famous for their terrible timing and bad decisions too. But at least we make up for it with cheap jokes and an irrational sense of heroism." He gave her hand a squeeze. "You're not alone now, okay? You've got me, and I've got, well, an unhealthy love for bad coffee and malfunctioning droids, but hey, that's something." A medic arrived with a neural patch, a glowing strip that pulsed like a living organism. "This might help with the paralysis," she said, her voice tired but determined. She placed it carefully on Ayla's neck, and the patch hissed as it activated. Ayla gasped, her body stiffening, then relaxing as the pain receded. Her eyes fluttered open, and for the first time, a real, unguarded smile crossed her face. Brant let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. "See? Nothing like a little human ingenuity and alien tech to bring a girl back to life." He gave her a wink. She laughed weakly, the sound like a song in the middle of a war zone. The medbay shook as another blast rocked the ground. But in that small cot, with her ears still glowing faintly, Brant knew that this was more than just another mission. The night air of Thalon 9 smelled like ozone and regret, a mix of burnt starship fuel and the scorched hopes of too many failed offensives. Brant found himself loitering outside the medical tent, his exosuit humming softly as it recharged. He absent-mindedly tapped the side of his helmet, where a dent from a plasma bolt still smoked. "Gotta remember to duck next time," he muttered, even as a nearby auto turret spun and whined, searching for targets that had fled hours ago. Inside, Ayla's laughter echoed, a sound so out of place that it made Brant smile despite the chaos. He ducked back in, the canvas flap brushing his shoulder. Ayla was propped up on the cot now, her long ears perked like an alert signal. The neural patch had worked wonders. Bioluminescent lines traced delicate patterns along her neck and arms, pulsing with faint light. "You look like a walking glow stick," Brant teased. "The enemy's gonna see you from orbit." Ayla's eyes narrowed playfully, though fatigue still pulled at her features. "Better than looking like you," she shot back, glancing at his scorched armor. "You look like you crawled through a plasma refinery backwards." Brant raised his hands in mock surrender. "Guilty as charged," he said. He perched on the edge of the cot, the exosuit's hydraulics hissing in protest. "Anyway, you look more alive than before. That's a good sign, right?" A medic bot clattered by, its arms overloaded with medical supplies. "Don't mind the robo-doc," Brant continued, grinning. "He's been threatening to perform brain surgery on me for weeks. I keep telling him I'm all out of brains to spare." Ayla's laughter slipped out again, a fragile thing that felt like hope. "Brant," she said, her voice softening, Why did you come back for me? You didn't even know me." He took a slow breath, his eyes scanning the flickering lights overhead. Because nobody deserves to be left behind," he said finally. "Not even pointy-eared alien princesses with glow-in-the-dark veins." He smirked, but his eyes betrayed something deeper. "Besides, I've got a soft spot for underdogs." Ayla looked down, her fingers tracing the cot's edge. "My people, they wouldn't risk themselves for me," she whispered. "They left me because I was damaged." Her long ears drooped, the bioluminescence dimming. Hey, Brant leaned forward, catching her gaze. Listen to me. You are not broken. You're alive. And you've got a hell of a sense of humor for someone who's been abandoned. He tapped her hand lightly. I say that makes you stronger than any of us. She met his eyes, something fierce sparking in hers. You really believe that? She asked, almost in disbelief. Yeah, Brant said, leaning back with a grin. I do. And I also believe we're going to get through this, even if we have to bribe every medbot in this place with bad jokes and even worse coffee. A sudden beep from his wrist console interrupted them. Brant's grin faded as he read the incoming transmission. An encrypted distress beacon, alien in origin. Ayla's ears twitched, glowing faintly. That's my people's code, she said, voice trembling. They're coming. Brant sighed, scratching the dent in his helmet. Great. Nothing like an unexpected family reunion. He shot her a playful wink. Think they'll bring cake? Ayla's laughter, louder this time, cut through the hum of medbots and the hiss of distant plasma bursts. For a moment, the war outside felt like another galaxy away, and Brant found himself hoping that maybe, just maybe, there was a chance for something more than survival on this broken world. The roar of engines rattled the battered remains of the medical tent, making the ground tremble like an angry beast. Outside, the sky split open with streaks of blue plasma, each bolt a screaming reminder that the galaxy wasn't done with them yet. Brant ducked instinctively as a shockwave rippled through the base, rattling every metal scrap and making his exosuit groan. Guess they didn't get the memo that we're trying to have a quiet evening, he muttered, glancing at Ayla as her long ears flickered with tension. She sat upright now, a faint glow tracing the edges of her veins like neon vines. Her eyes narrowed as she peered at the console Brant had dragged in, a battered hunk of alien tech with more exposed wiring than a junkyard droid. That's a Class 7 distress transceiver, she said, her voice tinged with both dread and curiosity. Where did you find it? Brant grinned, though his eyes were tight. Oh, in the slightly charred but still functional section of the local plasma mart. He gave it a gentle whack, and it responded by spitting sparks and blinking awake. Hello there, beautiful, he cooed. Talk to me. The screen flickered, revealing a rotating holographic projection of alien script, jagged, elegant, and utterly incomprehensible to him. Ayla's eyes widened. It's from my people, she breathed. A fleet, probably a scouting party descending. But the code is wrong. It's like a distress signal mixed with a kill order. She shivered. They're coming for me. Brant's brow furrowed. That's just rude, he muttered. Don't they know it's bad form to hunt your own kin? He tapped a few keys, the console responding with an irritable whine. Well, if they think they're going to waltz in here and collect you like a bounty, they've got another thing coming. He glanced at her, a mischievous grin forming. And anyway, I'm pretty sure I'm under contract to protect pointy-eared princesses. It's in my union agreement. Ayla laughed, an unexpected bright sound that cut through the tension like a blade. You're insane, she said, but her eyes sparkled. You're risking everything for me. Brant shrugged, his exosuit creaking. Hey, the perks are great. A front row seat to intergalactic drama, occasional plasma burns, and a new appreciation for the word overkill. He smirked, eyes twinkling with mischief. Besides, I've always had a weakness for underdogs. A crackle of static interrupted them as the transceiver shifted frequencies. A cold, mechanical voice cut through the haze. Target acquired. Retrieval imminent. Ayla's ears drooped, the glow fading. They're close, she whispered, her voice barely above a breath. They'll destroy this place to get me. Brant's grin faded, replaced by a hard gleam. Not if we leave first, he said, punching a sequence into the console. The screen flared, revealing the specks of an old assault ship parked on the edge of the base. Come on, he said, grabbing her hand and pulling her to her feet. Let's take a little joyride. I'll even let you pick the music. She stumbled, her balance shaky but improving with every step. I've never flown with a human pilot, she said, her ears trembling. Well, buckle up, princess, Brant called as he led her toward the exit, plasma bolts searing the ground around them. This might be the worst, and best flight of your life. As they darted through the chaos, the Medbots shrieked in protest, sparks dancing from every corner of the wrecked base. But in the laughter they shared, hers light and musical, his low and defiant, there was something stronger than fear. Hope, carried on the wings of war. The assault ship rattled like a tin can on re-entry, every bolt and rivet protesting the stress of the journey. Sparks danced across the dashboard like mischievous fireflies, and Brant swore he could smell ozone and desperation mixing in the stale recycled air. "Okay, HALFY, he barked at the AI console. "Tell me something good." The AI, with its usual cheerful sarcasm, responded, "Something good. The plasma flux stabilizer is currently at 12% integrity and falling. On the bright side, at least your hair won't catch fire." "Probably." Brant sighed, his helmet dented and streaked with grime. But the smirk on his lips refused to fade. He cast a glance at Ayla, strapped into the co-pilot's seat, her long ears trembling, but lifted with renewed purpose. She met his gaze with a determined smile that made his chest tighten. "Looks like your people are serious about this welcome party," he muttered, tilting the ship as plasma bolts stitched the air outside like cosmic embroidery. Through the viewport, the alien fleet hovered in formation, sleek, silver ships bristling with energy weapons that could erase them in a heartbeat. Ayla's eyes glowed with defiance. "They won't take me," she said, her voice steady. "I won't let them." Her bioluminescence pulsed like a living flame now, no longer a fragile glow, but a beacon of resilience. Brant grinned, flipping a switch that sent the ship into a sharp dive. "That's the spirit. Now let's show them why humans are the galaxy's worst dinner guests." He jerked the controls and the ship rocketed through the enemy lines, leaving a trail of disoriented scouts and frantic chatter in its wake. The assault ship's hull groaned as energy blasts clipped its wings, but HALFY kept up a steady stream of commentary. "Hull integrity at 5%. May I recommend ejecting before you become a cautionary tale?" "Thanks, buddy," Brant shot back. "That's real comforting." Ayla let out a sharp laugh, eyes dancing. "You humans and your terrible jokes," she said. Brant winked. "Hey, laughter's the best deflector shield." Then Ayla's gaze hardened. She reached over, fingers glowing, as she tapped into the console's alien systems. Symbols cascaded across the screen, blending human code with her people's language. "I'm overriding their retrieval protocol," she said, her voice fierce. "They'll have to come through me, and I won't let them." Brant watched in awe as her bioluminescence flared like a star. The ship's engines hummed with renewed vigor, the battered systems responding to her touch. Outside, the enemy fleet faltered, their formations fracturing. "You're incredible," he breathed. She looked at him, tears in her eyes but a smile on her lips. "Thanks to you," she said. "You taught me I wasn't alone, that I was more than what they abandoned." A final explosion rocked the air as the last enemy fighter spun out of control, vanishing into the darkness. The ship steadied, the AI sighing in relief. "Congratulations," HALFY intoned. "You've defied all odds, and your mutual hero complex has saved the day." Brant slumped back in his seat, letting the adrenaline drain from his body. He looked at Ayla, her ears relaxed now, her smile soft but triumphant. "So," he said, voice low but warm, "what do we do now? Save the galaxy? Open a coffee shop?" She laughed, a sound that felt like home, and reached for his hand. "One step at a time, human," she said, her ears glowing with a gentle, steady light. He squeezed her hand, his grin returning. "Well, I've always wanted to see the rest of the stars." Together they stared into the vastness of space, two warriors forged in battle, their laughter and scars intertwining like the stardust they now called home. And in that moment, Brant realized he'd found not just a partner, but a purpose, an unbreakable bond born from the fire of war and the strength of hope.